For the longest time, businesses pretty much treated water like, well, like just another utility bill to pay. But in a world where water is getting scarcer and scarcer, that view isn't just outdated, it's a massive liability. So today, we're going to dig into how water has transformed from this simple resource into really a critical business risk, but also a powerful strategic asset.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Is your business prepared? And I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff like droughts or floods. I mean the full range of risks, operational, reputational, you name it, that are all tied to water. How you answer that question is really going to shape your company's future. All right, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll get into why water is such a risky business these days. Then we'll unpack what water stewardship actually means. We'll walk through the roadmap to get certified, look at the different levels, and then, this is the good part, we'll see it all in action with a great case study from India. All right, first up, why water is such a risky business. This is all about moving beyond just ticking the compliance boxes and actually building real resilience. Look, for any manufacturer today, water isn't a side issue. It's a material risk to your entire operation.
So this is exactly where something called the Alliance for Water Stewardship, or AWS standard, comes into play. Think of it as a framework that flips the switch, moving your company from being reactive to being proactive. So instead of just waiting for a crisis to hit, you start to systematically understand your own water risks, the impact you're having on the local area, and just how much you really depend on that water.
Okay, so that leads us right into our next big question. What is water stewardship, really? Let's break down the AWS strategic framework.
At its heart, water stewardship is all about using water in a way that checks three really important boxes. It's socially equitable, it's environmentally sustainable, and it's economically beneficial. Now, this definition, it's a huge shift in thinking. It's about reframing water from something you privately own or use to a shared public asset. And when you do that, you start creating value for everyone in that local water catchment.
And this slide really highlights the massive difference between the old way of thinking, compliance, and this new idea of stewardship. You've got your mandatory government regulations, like India's CPCB rules. They're prescriptive, they're focused on compliance, and they basically stop right at the factory fence. But then you have the voluntary AWS standard. It's strategic, it's holistic, and it forces you to think beyond the factory fence. It makes you consider your role in the entire water ecosystem.
So what does this framework actually try to achieve? Well, it's all built around these 5 key outcomes. You've got good water governance, a sustainable water balance, good water quality, and it also covers protecting important water-related areas and ensuring safe water, sanitation, and hygiene, what's often called WASH, for everyone in the community. I mean, it is an incredibly comprehensive vision, right? Okay, so that covers the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. The certification roadmap is a really clear 5-step path to becoming a recognized water steward.
The process itself is laid out very clearly. It starts with just familiarizing your team with the standard. You can do some optional training to get everyone up to speed. Then you officially register your site to start the journey. After that comes the real work, implementing the 5 AWS steps in your operations. And finally, it all wraps up with a third-party audit to get that official verification.
And this next part is absolutely crucial. That final audit, it's not some private, behind-closed-doors thing. It actually requires a public stakeholder announcement. This gives anyone, local communities, NGOs, whoever, a chance to weigh in. This simple step bakes transparency right into the process, which is a powerful way to prevent greenwashing and give the certification some real teeth,
Now, what's really cool is that certification isn't just a simple pass or fail thing. Let's take a look at how the system is set up to encourage this journey of continual improvement, taking a company from what's called core all the way up to platinum.
So the system basically has 3 tiers. To get your foot in the door with AWS Core certification, you have to meet all the essential criteria. But to level up to Gold, you've got to meet all those core criteria, plus earn between 40 and 79 points on more advanced indicators. And for the top tier, Platinum, you're looking at 80 or more of those advanced points. It's a high bar.
And here's the key. Earning that gold or platinum status isn't just about being more efficient inside your own factory. The whole system is designed to reward external leadership, things like engaging in collective action with others, actively restoring habitats, and creating shared value for the entire watershed. This is how a company really transforms from just being a water user into being a true water steward. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's bring this all down to earth with our final section, Stewardship in Action. And we're going to look at a case study from one of the most water-stressed regions on the planet, India.
Now, one of the big reasons the AWS standard is really taking off in India is because of groups like the India Water Stewardship Network. What this network does is bring all the stakeholders together to kind of localize the global framework, making it fit the Indian context. This support system on the ground makes the standard so much more relevant and effective for local companies.
And here's the proof in the pudding. The Indian manufacturing giant ITC Limited isn't just testing the waters here. For their site in Bengaluru, they are officially going for the highest possible level of certification, Platinum. That's a huge commitment.
You know, when an industrial heavyweight like ITC aims for Platinum, it sends a really powerful message to everyone else. This isn't about charity or just ticking a box for a report. It proves that water stewardship is now being seen as a core part of their long-term competitive advantage. It's essential for their brand reputation and for making their supply chain more resilient.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways for you here? Ultimately, adopting a water stewardship framework helps you mitigate those critical risks, operational, supply chain, and reputational. It boosts your credibility with investors, customers, and even regulators, and it fosters real collaboration, strengthening your social license to operate in the community.
Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. In a world that's getting more and more water-constrained every day, is your company content to be just another water user? Or is it ready to become a water steward? Because the choice you make will have consequences that ripple out far, far beyond your factory fence.